Welcome back to Steve Robb Reviews. Today's review is going to be all about just a plain, simple power cord that I installed in my F-150. This one here is going to go on my Silverado. I'm going to show you how it was installed in my F-150, how simple it is, and I'm using it for a battery maintainer. And I think it's just a terrific idea. Now let's go over to the bench here and let's take a look at how this could be something that maybe you'd like to incorporate in your vehicle. For me, it's a cold climate here in Canada, and I like to have the battery topped up all the time. And in my Silverado, well, I don't really use the vehicle during the winter time, so I like to maintain the battery. So let's go over and take a look at the cord and see if this is something that you could use. Well, let's start off here. The one that you see in the thumbnail is only 16-inch long power cord. This one here is a 6-foot long one because I do need a longer cord for the Silverado. And it's just a simple setup like this. And this is the box that it came in right here. And as you can see, it's very simple to just, drill a hole the side that you need and install the power cord. And at the end here, I do have my my little trickle charger in there. And it comes with a nice plug. Now there's so many different brands. You can take this off while you're installing it, but there's so many different brands, and you can see this is the male end here, and it's got a nice clip to it. Now there's different brands of these. You don't have to buy this particular brand. I have no affiliation with any brand anytime, but I think this one here is actually really good. It comes with the self-tapping screws, and this is not cheesy at all. Like if you take a look, it's nice thick plastic here. Now I've had the one on the Ford on for quite a long time. It's going to be installed a little bit differently on the Silverado than the what you see on the Ford. So let's go to the Ford and I'll show you exactly how this was installed. And it took me roughly an hour and a half to fabricate a metal piece. And I'm going to show you how that was done. And wonder if this is something that a lot of you could use, because a lot of people just have cords hanging out all over the place, and this here tucks it in nice and neat, and it looks like a professional installation that is a lot better than just having cords hanging out of your grill, right? So let's go take a look at the Ford and let's see how that's done. So this is the Ford here, and as you can see, it's tucked in there real nice. Now I just have it hanging off the top here just so that nobody can walk in between, because when the snow flies, if I had this laying on the ground, well, maybe you might not see it and you'd come out of the driveway and just start ripping this right out of the wall. So I made a little bit of a stand here. I just pounded this into the ground, put a little attachment point up here on the brick, and it's as easy as that. And it just goes along here in front of the house, and it ends up right over there where it's plugged into an outlet. So, this is quite an easy setup to do, and when we're finished, well, as you can see, we just hang it up on the loop there, and that's it. So let's take a look under the hood and see what it looks like. So I've taken off the cord and just hung it up, and if we go over to the truck here, yeah, you can see where it's wrapped up. It's closed in there. The weather's not going to get to it. It's not going to fill up full of snow and ice. And on the inside here, well, when I was thinking how I was going to show how this is all done, I thought, well, nobody's going to be able to see anything, me working in there, and you can't, right? So I do have an alternative method, and everything is in behind here. So the cable actually goes from here, comes around here, and then it goes all in here. Now, I did think about just drilling through here, which is possible in a lot of different models, but I didn't, because in behind there, when I put my hand in there, well, I noticed that there's a lot of reinforcement from the plastic. Like, this is not just like an empty hollow plastic piece. So I thought, only take me a couple of minutes to fabricate this. So let's see how I fabricated, and let's take a look and see what's in behind here. But if we just take a look at the top here, you'll see where the leads come up, and I just got one over here and one right here, and it's as easy as that. Okay, so this is where I switched to just taking some pictures ahead of time. I figured it'd be a lot easier
And the first picture here you can just see it's 18 gauge or 20 gauge, just ordinary piece of steel I had sitting around, just sheet metal. Drilled 3 holes in the bottom, used 3 rivets in the bottom just to go into the plastic on the bottom of the where the bumper is there, and mounted the extension cord with the 3 screws inside, and it's very easy to do. And if we move on to the next picture there, well, that's just showing the back side of how it's actually installed, and you could see how it just fits in there. And this took like 15 minutes to fabricate, and then I just let it sit out there for the day, and after I coated a coat of black paint on it. And in this one here you can see I'm using a weatherproof box, and on the left you can see the trickle charger just sitting there upside down, and on the bottom of it I have the sticky tape. One side is Velcro on one side, and the inside the little container there I just mounted a little piece of wood, and then I stuck the other side of the Velcro so both sides would merge together, and it won't move or roll around or do anything in there, and it's a good secure spot. And the next picture here, well, you can see how it's mounted, and it just sits in there. You could, just use a screw, because you can see the eyelet on the bottom there where you can put a screw in there if you wanted to, instead of going with the double-sided Velcro tape. But that's how it's mounted in there. And if we go to the next picture, I'm just showing how I put some electrical tape around the connector before I actually left it into the weather. And I show how I use zip ties to hold the connector together so it'll never fall apart. And if you look behind that flap that I showed you before where it was, well, this is where it's mounted, and you can see I put 3 zip ties in there and a little bit of a zip tie to hold the cable up because I had a little bit of extra cable, and the rest just went to the battery like I showed before.
Okay, so bear with me with the wind out here, but I was thinking on the Silverado to go in right about here. I haven't seen exactly where underneath, but you could see how I need a longer cable. So the 6-foot cable will come in handy there. And for now, this is how I got it rigged up. And it just comes in like this. Now down here, I just put a little bit of a PCV pipe down there, and I'm using that sticky Velcro. And when I unplug it, I take the end off and I just tuck it down in there for now until I get the cable hooked up. So this is the unit running right here, right now, all the time. I got it plugged in right there, and what I've been using for a while is just plugging it in over here, closing the door, and you can see it's gonna beep red there because it doesn't like that. But that's how I leave it right there. Now you can see how it's much better if I just put the eyelets on the battery and be done with it rather than moving this all the time. But I very rarely even use this truck in the first place. So that's the rig set up there, and it just comes down to my plug. So what do you think? Now I am thinking of using this spot here, but you got to really be careful on some of these vehicles. They got sensors in the front and everything. So I'm gonna revisit this in the future for this 6-foot plug to go through here and then mount right in here so it's out of the weather. And I'll do the same on the other one with the tape and the zip ties holding it together, and then I'm done with it. So I'll just have the 2 eyelets here, and I can just leave that closed all the time. Okay, so on a lot of these different plugs, you'll see different variations, different brands. It's not going to be Noco, and they do have some that have 2 of these. Not just one, but they'll have a branch off for 2. And I think, like especially in a cold climate, one for your block heater and one to maintain your battery, keep it fully charged all the time. Now, for me, in my experience, what I've noticed over the years with late model vehicles, I mean, the Ford is a 2010, right? So I mean, it's not that late model. But with the fuel injection today compared to years ago when we had a carburetor, I feel in my own situation that I've noticed over the years is I would rather have a battery maintainer on there than a block heater, because
you know, when it comes down to it, don't matter how good your block heater is, you still need that battery to have full capacity to start your vehicle. And the one in the Ford was on there all last winter, and that truck started up just like it was summertime, you know, all the time, because it was fully charged. And I think the relationship between cold weather and a cold battery that's not charged up is a lot worse than plugging in your vehicle and still having a cold battery that's not all that charged up. So I would say for the amount of money that I spent, which is not very much, like you can buy these, you know, just they're low cost, they're low amperage. I think that one on both my vehicles is under an amp charge, so it's like 800 milliamps, and it will keep your battery maintained all the time for around $20 I paid. So I mean, they're not expensive. They're not big boosters or anything like that. They're just battery maintainer. So yes, when we come home, we plug the vehicles in, and you know, that's it. It only takes a couple of minutes, and every time you want it to start, it's going to start. So you know, especially when it's like minus 20 out there, you know, you're going to get this and none of that stuff if you got a battery maintainer on. So thanks for joining me here today. I hope you enjoyed the video. A little bit something different. And I think, you know, one of these extension cords that are mounted permanently on the outside, well, I think it's a good thing. And, you know, I've been doing this kind of stuff for many years, and it's worked out good for me. And hopefully, well, it may work out good for you too. So come back again. If you haven't seen this channel before, you're welcome to subscribe and see some interesting things that I do. And hopefully, well, you find them interesting too. Cheers.